So we are live now. So hello everyone, welcome to Janta Tech Talk Season 2, Chapter 2. And good evening, good afternoon, good morning, from wherever you are joining. So like today's guest is someone who is building the kind of future most people only talk about on the internet. So today I have Suraj Sharma with me. He's the founder of EXO, where he is reimagining how humans and AI work together inside one shared intelligence workspace. Before this, he has spent years at Microsoft as a software engineer, working on systems that had to stay reliable, scalable, calm under pressure. You can see that experience in the way he builds today. What I really appreciate about Suraj is that he's not interested in hype, he's interested in building things that actually make sense, tools that are solving real world problems. And at EXO, he's working on agentic AI in a very practical and grounded way, like shared memory, collaborative agents, and environments where humans and machines can genuinely work as one team. He is someone who understands both the depth of engineering and the reality of how people work. And that's why exactly I wanted him on this episode to help us unpack the next chapter of AI and the future of work in a way that is real, responsible, and meaningful. Suraj, really glad to have you today on the Janta Tech Talks, man. And I will not bore the audience anymore. I will just pass on the mic to you. So you can go and introduce yourself, what you are building, and everything. Over to you, my friend.
Thank you so much, Ali, for having me over. I'm really excited to be part of this conversation. So, we're really looking forward to it and really appreciate the grand introduction that I've gotten. So, hopefully, I can live up to all the hype that people are expecting right now. So, as Ali had pretty much completed all the introduction, so by background, I'm a software engineer, have worked years at Microsoft, contributed to products like Chromium, Outlook, Teams, many other VS Code, and so many others. So we built a lot of engineering tooling for them. And we also built tools that help them be more productive. So just continuing that part is what we saw like, okay, now AIs are rising. So it's time for us to, try to see that how can we shape the same human AI collaboration. And that's where EXO, we'll go into deep dive towards the end. So I just don't want to take too much of that.
Thank you. Thank you. And so, like, Suraj, before we dive in all the deep questions, I just wanted to ask you, like, what pulled you into this world of AI and agentic AI systems? Like, I believe everyone finds AI from a different door, like, be it through research, curiosity, frustration, or even a sudden idea. So, like, what was your pivotal moment that drew you into the space? Like यहाँ पे लगा आपको कि भाई ये काम अपने को करना है. So, like, what was that thing and how you exactly got into this?
I mean, honestly, like I was always an early tech adopter, right? Like I was very young when I started building my computers and always was proactive in all types of technology. So when I was very young, I also was very proactive in terms of, Android roots and mods, jailbreaking iPhones and all those things, like, just experimenting that how do you improve things and, how do you understand technology. So also early adopter of blockchain as well. So crypto. So I've always been like an early adopter of tech, but the pivotal moment that that thing that this is what I really want to do was happened when I saw ChatGPT. I would say, like, that was something I saw, like, in all my years of just being an early adopter and user of technology. I saw like this is something very different, and when I started using it, I realized that the entire world is going to change now. How we saw with the rise of internet or the computer, this is a pivotal shift. It is the first technology जो हमने अभी देखी है which is fundamentally changing what it means to be a human. So, it's going to make us question in every way. So what technology was just so attractive to me that, there are so many applications of it. So many things can be done. And I was like, okay, whatever happens, I want to see that what is the contribution I make to this space. And that is where, I decided that whatever it is, I'm going to explore this and see that what is something I'm really good at and what is something I can provide to this field. So that's how this jump was. But all of it honestly started with the fascination from ChatGPT, because I saw that and I was just blown away. And never in my life I've seen something like that. Like, it was just like, whoa. That feeling, right? Like, first
Yeah.
time when you use ChatGPT, you're like, oh my god, if this is not human, what does it mean to be human? How do you say what is alive, what is not alive? So many questions. You're just like, just blown away. So that is honestly the reason I started AI, and that's when I decided that I have to do something in this space, and this technology is fundamentally going to change.
Got it, got it. That actually explains a lot about the direction that you have taken. Like you didn't just stumble upon this. Like you have clearly followed like something that generally hooked you, right? So all right, so like just building on that take that you have given. So like since there are a lot of people who have joined who are just hearing what you are building, that's EXO for the first time. So like let me ask you this then. Suraj, to be honest, I personally feel like EXO is a very bold idea, to be very honest. So like for people hearing about it for the first time, how would you explain what EXO actually is in the simplest way possible?
So, human AI workspace, everyone is hearing that, and, future of global work. So, if you look at all the narrative sense, it's like obviously it will help you be more productive. So, but if you want to know a very, very simple way to explain XO is going to help you in two ways. One is it will reduce your token usage. So, very simply, that cost of AI is increasing exponentially. And everyone is going to talk about from next year that how do I reduce this cost, because APIs are going out of hand, everything is happening. So, XO in simple ways is a workspace that will one help you reduce that cost of AI. And second, what it will do is second place that very easily it helps you is like, it supercharges your experience. So today, if you're using Gemini, Perplexity, a lot of other tools, you see that whenever you're switching between tools, they don't really share information that seamlessly. And we want to solve that problem. So we want to solve it in two ways. One, we want to make AI more affordable and cheap. And second, we want to make it more user friendly and accessible to people. So anyone joining us first time, that's the vision that we'll be working over the next 10 years, maybe if all thing goes well. Just that how do we take this technology and make it more, accessible to people? And also whenever you're using multiple of them, they can collaborate with each other and talk to each other, and also and make sure that you're not burning your wallet. So
Understood. So, like to be very honest, Kulab, the that was really a solid background. Like I believe it was simple enough to understand things, but it also still shows the ambition that they put behind it. And but I believe understanding what EXO is isn't enough. We need to understand the mindset behind the tech as well, right? So let's zoom out a bit and talk about the larger space that you're operating in, and that takes me to my next question, which I believe will be the first question of the deep dive round. So, like Suraj, when we say agentic AI, like people imagine very different things. Like from the viewpoint of a developer, how do you precisely define agentic AI? And like, is it simply the latest marketing term or automation, or does it represent something more significant, like systems that actually think with us, or tools that genuinely operate on our behalf? What are your takes on this?
so there are two things. One is the market take that currently market AI, agentic AI agents, everything is a very hyped term. So
Yeah,
any
like because
term.
everyone is using that. Because everyone you might look like to whether they are guru, whether they are whatever. I don't know that aspect. Everyone is hyping AI. Everyone is hyping agentic AI. Like they're just using the term without even knowing what that is. I just want to understand that from an expert yourself.
So personally, the agentic AI term came when LLM were able to perform function calls. So that was essentially it started off. So LLM with a function call is called an agent. Now that is the basic term. Now obviously there are layers to it. So there are autonomous agents, there are agentic AI, now Chat GPT, Manus, and there are like more sophisticated agents that can perform actions on your behalf. So in very simple terms, when I think of agents, I just think a smart system that is capable of performing action on your behalf. So, whether it's reading your email and replying on your behalf, whether it's summarizing your emails, whether it is, going and writing code for you, understanding code for you, filing a bug report for you, anything that is making your life more productive using an agentic system, like using an LLM or any other system, for me, that is what I would say agentic AI. But there are definitely layers to it where, in some places it's going to be like, some are very complex where there are chain of thought, there's more reasoning involved, they would go beyond a step, like they would do research for you, perform like very complex tasks for you. And then there are some very simple AIs that all it does is fetches your email, replies for you. So again, it really depends on how market is seeing it. But in my sense personally, whenever I think of agentic AI, it's any system that is intelligent enough and capable of performing actions on your behalf. So in very simple terms, anything related to that for me classifies under agentic AI.
Cool. Okay, so fair enough. I believe that cuts through a lot of the marketing noise that most people throw the term around without even knowing what they're talking about. So yeah, moving on to the next question, and I believe this is one of my personal favorites that I'm going to ask in this show. Suraj bhai, AI is becoming more powerful with each passing day, but with that power comes unpredictability, right? So like I believe this raises a very critical question. If even major organizations sometimes struggle to control issues like model drifts, biases, hallucinations, so how can we truly rely on AI for critical decision making? So, like, are we perhaps overestimating the fundamental stability and the reliability of this machine intelligence, or is it something very more far different than the reality that we have today? What are your take on this?
So I would say, like, today, the technology is not ready to take any critical decisions on your behalf. I would say the power still should lie with humans in terms of decision making, because, as you just mentioned, like, models are biased, models are hallucinating. There is a lot of drift around it. A lot of, AIs might not make the right decision because they don't truly understand. So if you think about it, the one example I would like to say is AIs today are really based on mathematical value, where they understand our language and they can mimic our language to some extent, and that's what we classify as intelligence. With enough compute, there are theories that it'll be smart enough to make decisions on our behalf. But today, all it does is, it's in a very structured way, can give you answers for your, it can structure your thought to better articulate it, because it understands our language and it can communicate with us much better. So AI in some ways today is like a communicator. It should not be used as a decision maker. Second, I feel like AIs are really helpful today in terms of cutting through a lot of the manual, redundant work that us as humans also did it, but not really enjoyed doing it. So AIs are really good on those systems. But when it comes to like critical thinking, when it comes to decision making, I feel like no AI today is capable of doing that, and that should not happen. So in all sense, it should always be the human that should be calling the final, push there. And the way we see it is that this is the tool that is supercharging your human intelligence. And one example I can think of is, like, when calculators came along, they were solving mathematical problems for us. They were doing integration, they were doing everything. But that doesn't mean they'll be the one discovering the math, right? So today, AI is at a stage where it's not really capable of doing that today. But there are theories that maybe 5 years from now, you will see me completely changing my statement and be like, okay, I was completely wrong here, and something has completely changed. But based on the current foundation we're at today, it requires a lot more compute. And I don't think we'll be achieving AGI in 2027 as our big model providers and marketeers would like to believe. Yes, we are going to reach a system where something that would take 100 humans in past can be done with 5 or 4. That you know but that doesn't mean AIs will be the ones that are taking decisions on our behalf. AIs are just going to be the one make us better informed, so that us as humans are more aware of the decisions we're making, and it can guide us in the direction. But it should never be the decision maker, is my take on it.
Interesting take, and honestly, it's good to hear a realistic answer instead of that usual one like that most people give, like, yeah, I will figure it out. And I'll just tell a short story for Janta in this aspect. Like, I was talking to one of my friends, like, I was in Bangalore at that time. We were sitting together and we were having a lot of deep discussions about life, and हम लोग कैसे वो डिस्कशन कर रहे थे in a what setup. I can't just tell over that camera, but eventually Suraj is having coffee. We were having something else, and I believe this will explain a lot of that things to the people. But वहाँ पे there was a time कि he said to me कि भाई, I believe कि I don't need a therapist or anyone. I am having my own AI. I've trained it. He gives me answers, and I was like, okay, why don't you open that? तू खोल उसको, अपन एक बार उससे बात करके देखते हैं. And when he started having that conversation with him, AI was only just मतलब समझ लो कि he was only giving answers that he wanted to listen. He wanted to hear. That's it. वो he it was just giving justification to the things that he was doing. I was saying, भाई कि this is only the difference between AI and a human that you will go and take therapy to. क्योंकि भाई ये बस वही तुझे बोल रहा है जो तू सुनना चाहता है, not that
Exactly.
you should actually hear. And that eventually changed a lot of things. And he was like कि नहीं भाई मैं नहीं मानता तेरी बात. मैंने कहा ओके, तेरे पास कितने ब्राउजर हैं? He said 3. I said just log into another account into a new browser, अपना एक और AI एजेंट से तू बात करके देख ले. And it really gave him other answers to the question that he asked him. And तब I just said to him भाई कि जो आपने बोला कि क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग
Mhm.
अभी भी नहीं आपका एआई मॉडल सही से कर पा रहा है. इट्स ओनली द ह्यूमंस
Absolutely.
दैट विल इवेंचुअली एनालाइज थिंग्स एंड गिव दैट. सो मैं और भी हमारी जो भी है जनता, लाइक इवेंचुअली देयर इज अ स्टडी दैट प्रूव्स कि today 70% of Gen Z are using Gen AI models as their therapy. So I don't do that. That is a really bad practice. भाई अब मैं यहाँ पे moral police तो नहीं बोलूंगा अच्छा है बुरा है, but don't do that because it only makes you hear what you want to hear, not that you have to hear. Just don't do
Absolutely.
that. And फिर
No,
हमारे
that's
क्वेश्चन
you're
नहीं बोला.
exactly right. The same problem actually Sam Altman ne bhi point ki thi. So even he looked at it and he said that we are gonna make our AIs less sycophants for the next versions because AIs are just gonna be sycophants for now. Like whatever you want to hear, they're gonna make sure that they're boosting your ego. No matter what the answer is, what the expectation is, it will not say that, oh, this is a terrible idea and you shouldn't do it. It will try to justify your moral grounds. And this is something OpenAI is aware of. And there have been documented research on that AI is not supposed to be used as a therapist, but it is still getting used as one. So next versions में Altman has promised कि वो चीजें कम होंगी. So we'll just wait and see how the models improve over time. But yeah, I would also say that if that is something that if you're using AI as a therapist today, please use it with caution and please be aware that you are just talking to a very, very smart parrot, not a human. It's an
And
extremely smart and well articulated parrot.
see, apart I would just say, इतना करने से अच्छा है just call your friend, go and meet them, sit, have some chai, drinks or coffee. You will eventually get your therapy. Yeah, that's it.
Yep,
If you think therapy is expensive, don't go to AI models. Just go to your friends. That will work unless and until what Suraj have said. कि जब तक AI उस पैरामीटर पे नहीं आ जाता, you can eventually go and talk a therapy conversation with them. And
absolutely.
भाई
And there are some projects that are working on it. So, those projects are definitely under supervision and, there have been experts that have been monitoring it, training it, guidelines. But yeah, Chat GPT as raw, I would never recommend. Maybe there are special AIs that are doing it. So, I would highly recommend that if that is something you would like to go, then please also have like a human, expert guiding you as well. Like, at least in their guidance. So they're aware. Because like I
and
said, like 100% agreed with
And
you.
to be very honest, this conversation was not on the flow, not on the question. It was only purely for the Janta because the show is for the Janta. Bhai, so आपका ही है. That's what we wanted to
बिल्कुल.
come and address things that eventually provides you the maximum value. And this is the case of the cause the most of the audience that we have is Gen Z. And eventually 70% people are using that. So like this is a take that me and Suraj eventually have come out and given to you as whatever you can say, like as a well wisher, as an expert, मतलब जो भी आपको समझना है, but it provides value to you. भाई आप लोग के लिए हम लोग ने शो किया and we wanted to have topics discussion that usually provides you value. So now moving on to the
बिल्कुल.
next question that we have put as a part of the flow, which is like Suraj bhai, EXO introduces a very interesting idea, like a shared memory layer where humans and AI work inside the same context. Okay, this sounds efficient, but मेरे हिसाब से like this also raises a fundamental question about transparency, privacy, and psychological safety, right? So like, how do you say like shared memory can empower teams, but can also feel intrusive if designed carefully? So how do you build a system that gives AI the context it needs without making users feel observed, monitored, or exposed? And the second part of this question will be like where you personally draw the line between context and overreach.
Absolutely. So that's an excellent question. So, which is like, the way we are designing the entire system is previously what was the case. Like, if you look at the past technologies, right, all of those technologies were very algorithmic. So, algorithmic ka matlab kaise hai ki there were fixed things you could do, right? There's only like if you're supposed to share the entire chat, you could only share the entire chat. But now we're going into a world where we're going into generative AI is becoming a standard, and you can have a conversation with your computer. So this is the first time in history that has been possible. So with that, that's why the way we've implemented all our systems is whenever an AI is sharing information, it's not like anything you chat at ChatGPT will be directly shared. You tell ChatGPT that, okay, today's podcast, let's say 1 hour ki hum conversation kar rahe hain puri. You might not want to share everything with ChatGPT about this. So what you can do with EXO is essentially that whatever conversation you're having, you can pick bits and pieces out of it. Be like, hey, let's share this and not share this. Share this and not share this. So this way the experience is very dynamic. And users consent is always, so anytime, even at all our products and MCP servers, before any information is shared, we very, very transparently show that this is the information you're sharing, these are the details, are you sure you want to share this? And only when the user clicks confirm on ChatGPT or Claude or Manus or any other API they use, then only it goes forward and shares that. So this way we ensure that it's not like anything you're doing on AI is directly coming to XO. It's only the bits and pieces relevant to the project are coming there, and that you're explicitly allowing to share. So we take privacy very seriously, because I feel like privacy is something that is under talked in, especially in India and a lot of places like
Hmm.
Europe ne and US ne बहुत strong regulations करी है around privacy. But I feel like India may that's not yet a big concern. But our systems are extremely designed in such a way that that we don't hold any data that user doesn't want us to hold. And at every point, if let's say accidentally you share something that you were not supposed to share, you can very seamlessly go and delete it with one button, or even tell AI to be like, hey, delete this information, and AI itself will delete it. So this way, what we ensure that only the places that you're comfortable are shared, and you don't feel like, oh, all my personal chats are going to be shared with XO just because I'm connecting to XO. So XO is not going to have access to anything. XO will only have access to stuff that you're willingly saying that, yes, share this related to a project.
Ah,
So, that's how we're designing it to be very safe. And there
cool.
was a second half to your question. So if you'd like to follow up to that second half, I would love to answer it
Second
again.
half was like मैं ये आपसे पूछ रहा था like where do you personally draw the line कि मतलब between context and overreach.
Well, personally, I'm more like a cynic compared to I am like very as a software engineer and also as a big tech engineer for years. I've always had like privacy is under talked about, and I'm thoda sa more paranoid side. So I keep all my permissions closed. I'm not gonna share anything. So I've always been on a very closed system. So my lines are like I would never personally share any personally identifiable information with any of the AIs that are there. So anything that can identify me, even though I trust them, because it's not a matter of trust. It's not like OpenAI is going to do anything malicious with it. It is just that that information is out there, and there have been breaches, there have been hacked, not on OpenAI or AI side, but other softwares we've seen that has happened. So if any of your personal identifiable information is leaked online, then it's a safety issue. So personally, I would say that I would never want to chat with AI anything related to my personal information or my documents or what places I'm visiting or where I'm going or my location data. So things like that. So but I feel like that is something where I personally draw the line. So I keep AIs very limited to software development and the work and whatever I'm doing. And jahan bhi I feel like AI is knowing a lot more about me, then I just don't feel like doing it anymore. Then I don't share it.
Cool.
So, and I've done this experiments honestly. Like if you go to your AI, all of y'all can just try it later on. You just go to your AI, and you might have never told them how old you are. Just ask your chat GPT, Gemini, everyone. Just be like, based on all our past conversations, estimate the age that I am at and what kind of person I am. The answer it will give will kind of scare you. You will not expect that how accurately it can guess your age just based on how you're talking and your location and your background and your experiences.
And but to be very honest, I'll just add to this answer. So maybe last में आपने बोला last week we were having conversation with another guest, Nitesh bhai. Like we were having this conversation in that show. कि भाई like there are certain prompts. Like I'm seeing certain reels as well on Instagram, and if I get that reels link, I'll share on my LinkedIn as well. Like they are like there are people giving us prompts. कि like and कि if you put this prompt into Chat GPT because you are having a conversation with him from the past 1 year, 2 years, जब से भी आप उसको use कर रहे हो, just put this prompt. He will eventually give you details that even your father, mother, girlfriend, boyfriend, or even you don't know about yourself. Like it will give you
Yes.
patterns, आपके patterns बता देगा, insecurities बता देगा, कितना grow करो वो बता देगा, and usually that is very scary. And I believe that's what Suraj Bhai has also put out वही है कि आप उतनी उससे बात करो जितना में आपका काम हो जाए. It's not that कि आप उसको पूरी अपनी personal information दे दो and all that. And eventually I also tried that. मैंने भी वो prompt try किया, and even yeah, I was like कि भाई आज तक मेरे माँ बाप को इतना नहीं पता होगा मेरे बारे में. मेरे माँ बाप तो छोड़े यार, मेरे को नहीं पता है कि भाई इतना भी लाइक दिस इज लाइक इवन द साइकोलॉजिकल एस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ योर लाइफ. लाइक इट्स जस्ट टेलिंग यू भाई यहाँ यहाँ तेरे में दिक्कत है, ये दिस इज व्हाट आई हैव डन. एंड लाइक कभी कभी बहुत डर लगता है, कभी कभी बहुत फैसिनेटिंग लगता है कि भाई अगर मैं इसको दो तरीके से देखता हूँ कि भाई अगर आप कभी कभी ये चीज खुद के बारे में जानना चाहोगे वेयर यू आर लैकिंग, देन दैट्स गुड. बट कभी कभी it can eventually give you very scary things. So like it's very 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 important to just draw that line, क्योंकि यहाँ पे सूरज भाई ने बोला कि कॉन्टेक्स्ट और ओवर रीच के बीच में आपको अपनी लाइन ड्रॉ करनी पड़ेगी. That's how eventually the future will be safe for all of us. That's it.
Absolutely.
And that's a very great take जो भी सूरज भाई ने इस क्वेश्चन के दिया. Like that was the tension I was hoping to you to address, context versus intrusion, and it's very good that you have not dodged that, and but you have eventually gave the answer that has provided the maximum value to the Janta. So now, Suraj, by moving on, I believe this is one of the most important questions or the most important question of the conversation that we are having today. So I'm just more putting the question forward to you. So भाई हमको ये लगता है today everyone is obsessed with the idea of autonomous agents. Like जो भी हम लोग ने इंटरनेट पे देखा है, हाइप देखी है, like everyone is obsessed with the idea of having autonomous agents. But autonomy with accountability is a huge risk, right? So
Absolutely.
here's the uncomfortable क्वेश्चन जो कि मेरे दिमाग में हर बार आता है, जो मैं आपसे पूछने वाला हूँ कि लाइक इफ एन एआई एजेंट परफॉर्म्स एन एक्शन दैट इज
Hmm.
टेक्निकली लॉजिकल बट ऑपरेशनली हार्मफुल, सपोज कोई एक रॉन्ग डिप्लॉयमेंट हो
Absolutely.
गया, मिस्टेकन ट्रांजैक्शन, मिसप्रायोरिटाइज्ड टास्क, देन हु टेक्स दैट रिस्पांसिबिलिटी? द मॉडल, द बिल्डर, द यूजर, द सिस्टम, कौन? बिकॉज वंस एआई स्टार्ट्स मेकिंग decisions, accountability becomes one of the hardest problems no one wants to talk about today. And how do you
Absolutely.
approach this इन जनरल एंड इवन वाइल डिजाइनिंग एक्सो, आपने इसको किस तरीके से अप्रोच किया?
So, excellent question. So I'll answer this in two parts. Like today, what is the market standards? And second, how at Exo we're redefining this experience.
हम्म.
So the first thing is like if you look at it in the market today, all the accountability is on the person because her chat GPT se leke every major AIs have the disclaimer that models can make mistake. Please make sure that you are accountable. So any action that AI is performing on your behalf, you are accountable. And very big scenario case for that is like I think if recently Deloitte or some big institution had made some AI generated reports and they had charged like a very large amount, and then they had to revert all that money back because it was an AI generated report which had a lot of mistakes. So in this case, even though the AI was taking action, the company had to bear all the costs and the legal fees and everything related to it. So I'd say like today the market standards are that you are responsible for it, and that's why I would encourage everyone to be extremely careful with what information they're giving, what access they have, because these AIs today are a curveball. We like nobody in this world, not me, not experts, not even people experts at OpenAI or Claude or anyone, is really aware what it can and cannot do. It's all being experimented. That's why they're called researchers, because we research, we do a lot of things, and then we realize, okay, this is what it can do and this is what it cannot do. And sometimes even the model creators are confused that we never trained it to do this, but it somehow is able to do this. So, large scale neural networks are still a black box to people. And we have somewhat understanding how this AI works, but in reality, none of us exactly can say that how is this answer getting created today. So that's why, I would say that any action you want AI to perform, make sure that you are being very accountable for it and you're very credible for it. Now at Exo, how we're doing it differently is essentially that is the problem that we saw today in other tools and the other memory management tools and all other competitors that have been doing it. So some place where we see different is like memory is only one part of agentic execution.
हम्म.
The second part is AIs, just like humans, should also get a safe space to experiment. So, that is where our execution environment and our environment thesis comes in, where these AIs can log into that computer in a safe space, they can experiment, and whatever, let's say they mess up or do something wrong, it can be very easily controlled and reverted. So rather than AI working in a computer that you have no control over, you can bring AI to a very controlled computer and make sure that, you have access over all the actions that are happening, you're controlling every aspect of it, and if anything goes wrong, you can very easily roll it back. So that's how at Exo we're solving this. So that is where our thesis comes that along with shared memory, we provide a shared execution environment. So this is what the whole value of shared execution environment is, because it is one place where AIs can come and experiment. Just like humans, AI also have to experiment that, they can try things out. And even if they fail, it can be easily reverted without having massive business impacts. So that is where, we are defining it and kind of changing it, where giving AIs these safe space. So that is what our whole take on execution environments are, that why do these AI needs execution environments in this workspace?
Exactly, and I believe that's where the reality kicks in. Like you just can't pretend the system is neutral when it's clearly acting, right? And
Absolutely.
so, like, to all the viewers, if you have any questions, ये आपका ही show है. This is the Janta Tech Talks. You can put that in the comment section of the show. I'll be happily ready to take that to Suraj bhai, and if you want me to answer, I'll answer myself. यहाँ पे ट्विटर पे इंस्टाग्राम पे लिंक्डइन पे wherever you want you can just type in your question. I'll definitely during the end of the show we have an audience segment. We will eventually take the question of the audience. And if you're someone, if you're my friend and anything, if you're my personal WhatsApp and anything, you can just drop me a text there. I'll just take that question forward to Suraj bhai. Okay, so now moving on, Suraj bhai. Now we were speaking of risk, right? So
Mhm.
we have to, if we are speaking of risk, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, which is data. So that's where my next question comes. Like, there's a tension we can't ignore. Like, the smarter AI becomes, the more data it requires. It's obvious.
Yep.
Like, but giving AI more data, inevitability increases the risk surface. Like, जितना ज़्यादा exposure होगा, उतना ज़्यादा vulnerability होगी, उतना more dependency होगी on storage पे and memory के infrastructure पे, सारी चीज़ों पे. So यहाँ पे जो मेरा ये वाला सवाल है, so the real question that I have, like, can we build high intelligence systems without sacrificing privacy, or is it true कि privacy is impossible once AI enters the workflow? And if a balance exists, what does it actually look like at a system level? I believe this needs to be addressed and it's the need of the hour.
Absolutely. So that's an excellent question. I feel like that is something we should talk a lot more about because I feel like we're not having enough conversations on how do we keep our data safe, how do we keep AI safe. So to answer your question that can we build a system without sacrificing privacy? Answer is yes, we can. It's not we don't have to give in privacy, we don't have to always compromise on privacy. Yes, there's going to be some cost associated to it, but it's not impossible to do. So the way how we're creating this balance is kind of very similar to like if I were to give you a real human example, right? So in that sense, what it is let's say you go for a very large examination of you have 100 questions, but all you have to do is like you have to go to the examination center. There they make you answer all those questions, so they make you circle, but they don't let you take the question paper with you.
Hmm.
This way you go back home and if there are 300 questions, you might remember maybe one or two, but you might not remember the entire paper. So right, and then when someone else is giving that exam, you cannot go and share those questions and leak that data. So all the thing that I'm leading to is essentially if we create a closed environment where AIs can come in, work, and then leave, this same thing can be achieved. This way your data can stay secure. No system has to exit. No system has, you don't have to compromise on your data, and also you get the best of the technology.
Correct.
Similarly, if you come and give in your exams, you might go back and you cannot cheat on it. So right, you're not losing any data there. So same thing can be done with AI. So that is the systems that we're building, like with our execution environment. So we allow AIs to log in, learn about your product, do the work, and then leave. And once they're leaving, they might forget. They'll always forget. So the way we are designing our systems are definitely forgetting it. But also it also comes that if you're using a fundamental model that is remembering it, then that data gets transferred out. So there is like, yes, our agents are not storing any data, anything is not happening. But if you're using OpenAI or Claude or Perplexity, those model providers might be storing those data, and that will really depend on what kind of policies you've set with them and what kind of agreements you have with them. But today most of the large providers are allowing you to not to have like no data retention policies. So this way you can ensure that if you let AIs come into a system, work, and then leave, we can have a very private system where all your data is not getting locked, all your secrets are staying in. Very similar to how even today in terms of humans, every if you join a new company, you get like a closed system. You get like a computer, and that computer has all the trade secrets. That computer has all the access, but you cannot take it out of the computer. So that is where I feel like a private system is working. And just for that, I feel like another way to promote this uh, data safety and privacy is through decentralizing AIs as well. Today
Hmm.
there are only 3 or 4 large providers that are kind of taking over the market, and they are governing all the policies and what is allowed and what is not allowed. That's why we are also heavily investing in decentralized AIs. That a lot of open source models, any user can come in and start up their own open source AI and make sure the data stays with them. And we also actually received a very big grant for just decentralizing a lot of AIs. And we've been working a lot in that space to make sure that today using open source models don't have the good experience. It's very hard. It's only for developers. But we are hoping that 6 months from now, we'll have systems that will allow you to very seamlessly use open source models. That is only you have access to that data, and without any compromise of user experience or without any technical challenges. Like, you don't have to learn coding or anything. It'll just be like, oh, you're using chat gpt or you're using this meta's open source AI. You won't even know the difference. But the biggest difference will be that data is yours, and you can ensure that only you have access to it, no one else, not even Meta or Exo or anyone.
Okay, so I follow you on LinkedIn. I follow एक्सो, तो मेरे को तो ग्रांट के बारे में पता है. So like you can just go on and eventually tell about कि भाई how exactly, like what was the grant about and आप लोग वहाँ पे क्या कर रहे थे that you eventually got that. Because we have a lot of people joined in, and I definitely want them to know about that as well, because it will
So
eventually help them.
absolutely. Sorry, go ahead.
Like it will just eventually help them know out in a more professional way. That's it.
Yes. So in terms of grant, so we were working long term with our very good friend of mine and our partners as well, Gaianet AI. So they are a decentralized platform. So what they are working on is decentralized AI. So open source models and inferencing and everything around it. So how you use ChatGPT or Claude, you can use some open source model where the data and everything relies with you. But one problem there, it was that even if the model is open source, like today we know DeepSeek is open source, how many of us are running their own DeepSeek? Are you able to run your own DeepSeek is the question I have with you. No, right? Because it's not that simple to run an AI model. It's not just about the code is open, the weight is open, doesn't really matter, right? I don't have those GPUs. I don't have compute. I don't have anything that I don't have the expertise to run a model. I might not even know like what are weights, what are biases. And as an end provider, that's why I'll just go to ChatGPT. So just showing the code doesn't make it accessible to everyone. So that's why what we were designing is non-technical folks, how they can very easily set up their own DeepSeek in few clicks and have their own data, have their own computer where it's running, get access to those GPUs, get access to everything. This way, for them, it's like in one click, instead of using Chat GPT, this is the own version of DeepSeek that they're running. And there, none of the data is going anywhere else. None of the data is getting lost. And, everything is pretty much in a centralized, structured manner. So that is what we got like huge support to build this entire infrastructure. And Gaianet has been supporting us. And then, that is what our vision has been, that so that anyone as someone that you don't need millions of dollars to run your own AI is essentially our goal is. With as little as like $5, you can run your own chat GPT and ensure that none of the data is gone. And we are building that infrastructure to allow you to do that.
Exactly. So now we have a interesting audience question. I believe Yash Bhai has only asked that. He is telling that you have told here that about increasing token usage and cost. So how does EXO help with that?
Excellent question. So, how EXO helps with that is like today, most people are not. So context engineering is something that experts do very well. So, Chat GPT, if you're using any of the many mainstream apps that you're using do a much lot of context optimization that we don't realize. It happens in the background. It's not as simple as you're calling an AI and you get an answer. And just because of those optimizations, they are able to save a lot of costs. But if you're using any AIs on APIs that you want to use it for your cursor, your Claude Code, or any of the coding tools, or N10 as well, that all the automation workflows that are getting very famous, there you need something called an API. So the API cost doesn't have the same optimization that ChatGPT does. So what we do as experts is we've seen that there are a lot of context optimization that can be performed, which can really significantly help you reduce token usage. Now, let me give you a very real world example to it. So, when I give this example to people, usually people think, people really laugh about it. But when we think in terms of AI, that is what we're doing.
कोई बात नहीं, यहाँ
So,
यहाँ पे आप खुल के बोलो बड़े भाई, कोई इसमें इशू
बिल्कुल
नहीं है.
बिल्कुल.
हमारा शो है यूएस, इवेंचुअली आप खुल के बोलो यहाँ.
So if you think about it, जैसे today के date में, I have you told me that we decided that okay, there is going to be a podcast, and we went on and we decided that this is the time we're doing podcast, and the topic is just going to be about human AI collaboration. Okay, that is okay. Now imagine if every day that any other thing you're doing on LinkedIn, every time you go to LinkedIn, in your head you're thinking today is my podcast and this is what is happening, and then you keep on typing, and you basically memorize it, right? You memorize everything related to what the discussions we're going to have about podcasts. You wouldn't do that, right? You wouldn't memorize each and every question 100 times. So if you try to do that, your memory is going to overload that. So what you do instead is you write it in a document and you store it, and you know where that document is, and you only access it when you need it. But today when we're talking to AI, we put everything in its memory. So it's memorizing each and everything, and it's just keeping track of all these things in its head, and all of the lot of unnecessary context is stored where it's not supposed to be, because people don't realize that there are different ways to teach AI. One way is to make it memorize it, one way is to teach it how to access it, and the other way is making these optimizations around it. So we perform all these optimizations to make sure that your AIs are not memorizing anything else. So your AIs are smart enough to know that what thing has to be read from a document and what thing it needs to memorize and keep it in their head always. Because if you keep everything in your head, that also what we saw is reduces hallucination, because there is very less context. So it's not only about that your cost goes down, but your answers also become more streamlined, because we know how to feed AI the right way, and how to make those optimizations. And that is how we are able to reduce that cost and your usage and hallucinations and everything around it.
Fair point. Fair point. And I that's why I always said even during this show, like EXO is a very bold idea, and you guys are definitely building something that's going to be very great in the nearby future as well. So yeah, I believe yes, by it answers your question that you had. Now we have two more questions from the audience, but उसको अपन थोड़ा सा हमारे जो audience वाला segment है उसमें पूछेंगे. So now moving on to my next question that I wanted to ask very personally. Alex, सूरज भाई, you have worked inside big tech. पता है आपने, like you have built your own company उसके बाद, and now you have seen both the sides how the team functions. Like आपने Microsoft में भी देखा है, फिर आपने यहाँ पे भी अपने जो आप startup बना रहे हो उसमें भी देखा है. So now as AI becomes a genuine collaborator, not just a tool, so how do you see human behavior changing inside teams? This is the first part of my question. दूसरा जो हमारा पार्ट है वो ये आपसे पूछना चाहते हैं कि like do people become more effective because cognitive load drops, or do a new dependency and new blind spots emerge? Basically, like, does AI raise the bar for human work, or does it quietly lower it without us even noticing that?
Excellent question. So I would say answer is both. The reason I would say both, and I will draw parallels to what happened with internet.
Examples देना, आप एकदम correct examples देना, क्योंकि like
बिल्कुल.
I genuinely want me, the जनता, everyone to just understand this and learn about this, क्योंकि इसके बाद I'll also share my personal experience जो कि मैंने खुद की टीम के साथ भी देखा post AI पे.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I've been at big tech. I've been at I've also a lot of my background. I've stayed pretty much since in America. Like most of the time, I've just stayed in the US. So, since I think I was 17, 18, I've just stayed in America since then. So, and then I also come to India pretty often. So I see both sides here. So, I see the Western culture as well, very well. And I also see the Indian culture very well. But both sides may adoption of technology has been slightly different. So how we perceive technology has slightly been different. So if you look at internet, right? So when internet came along, a lot of people, and Instagram came along, a lot of people used this as a leverage to grow their knowledge, used it to their advantage to become more aware. So before internet, I don't think anyone would have been able to just, I can't even think of a time, because I've personally never seen it, that without Google, how can life exist? And, so there what we saw is like a huge population, like a very small percentage of population who were using it to their advantage were able to make the best use of it. And, they were able to achieve things which were not even possible, that we had never seen before ever in humanity, that they were able to make like large scale companies. Mark Zuckerberg was someone who was able to make, like, from his dorm room, he was able to make like billions of dollars of company that started in a dorm room with few people. But at the same time, if you look at some people, and large masses also went into brain rot, they went the wrong direction, they became more addicted to things which they were not supposed to. There was a lot of content push that happened. So we saw, like, like small people who knew how to take advantage of it really changed it, and it was really disruptive. And other populations were kind of, I would say, manipulated into doing things, or not spending their productive time. They maybe didn't make the best use of it, and maybe it was not a good thing for them, where a lot of the bad habits, a lot of addiction, a lot of depression, and a lot of the mental health issues that started were the result of social media and internet. But if you look at the power of social media, like someone sitting anywhere, like someone sitting even in the remotest corners of India, like you might be in the remotest corners of India, you can sell to the people sitting in New York, California, anywhere. That's the power of internet. But how do most people use it? Watching videos all day. And I see the same parallel AI ke saath hoga, where it will be a fundamental technology that can make you achieve everything, but it will also be a technology that will waste your time a lot if you wanted to waste your time. If you want entertainment, then AI will just completely disrupt entertainment. And now we're seeing with AI generated videos and everything that is happening, that entertainment is going to see a new form, and AI is fundamentally going to change it. So to answer your question, if you're using it to your advantage, you will have, like, the most powerful weapon in your arsenal would be AIs, where whether you're a 16-year-old, 15-year-old, you can just disrupt and change the world. But if you decide to lose the bar and just be entertained and everything, then it might not be good for us. I hope that answers your question. That
Exactly. And I'll just give this my answer to the people. कि like I'm a very creative person. So मेरा जो सारा काम होता है, that I always into creativity, like video part, podcast, everything. So like that requires a lot of thinking. But there was a time, like I was working in teams as well. There were people when Gen AI came, they were just eventually putting out prompts on AI. They were not eventually मतलब वो अपना कोई दिमाग नहीं लगा रहे थे. They were not thinking anything. They were just putting prompts out there. And जो भी उनको वहाँ से आंसर मिल जाता था, they were just building upon it. And I believe like that was कि like यार आप अपने खुद की creativity नहीं लगा रहे हो. जो भी आपकी creativity है, like your mind has a lot of thoughts. Because if I have to do a podcast, if I have to do a video, I think in 10 different ways. 10 different ideas cross karta. Like eventually, I'll just give an example. Even when I was making a video my own self for my own self, during a shot also I get an idea. कि भाई हाँ इस shot में this can be improvised, this can be done. So like I believe this is all. जो भी ये जो creative काम होता है, first you have to think on your own self. अगर मैं जो जो भी ये जो हमारे marketers भाई बहन जो है, जो हमारी ये marketing and creative वाली जनता देख रही है, पहले आप अपना खुद का एक दिमाग लगाइए. जो भी अगर आपको करना है, put that, फिर उसके बाद put that into AI, enhance that part. Because over the time I have seen a lot of people that have worked with me, उनकी efficiency कम हो गई because they relied heavily on AI. They relied completely on AI for the ideas as well. So use AI to fine tune your ideas, but original ideas I'll say आप खुद लेके आओ. Original ideas जो भी आपके हो आप खुद लेके आओ. Use AI as a layer to fine tune it. यही कि आप
absolutely,
मतलब completely just don't rely on AI because that will
yeah,
eventually
absolutely,
affect your work. That's it. हमारे
no,
हिसाब से सूरज भाई
absolutely. It is what it is, right? You can't, AI is not a replacement for human ingenuity. Like, us as human, हम years तक बहुत creative रहे हैं. We've done disruptions. We've been like, innovation and the drive to build is something that comes naturally to us. So we should not rely AIs on that. AI should help you in execution. That, okay, you were not able to talk to 100 people about your idea, AI will help you that. But AI shouldn't be the one that form an idea and talk with me. It should not go with that.
Exactly. And eventually the last time also when I was having a conversation with the guest, उन्होंने एक बहुत अच्छा मीम का कुछ दिया था, लाइक मेरे को अभी याद भी नहीं आ रहा है. आज इवेंचुअली पुट आउट दैट एज अ क्लिप. मैंने वो क्लिप निकाल के वीडियो अपलोड भी किया है. ही सेड कि भाई दे देयर वाज अ मीम जो बोल रहा था लाइक आई वांट AI to do all the repetitive tasks so I can go out and do the creative work. But today AI is doing all the creative task and coding वाले task, and I am what like I'm the one doing मतलब जो बर्तन मांज रहा है, जो washing machine में कपड़े धो रहा है, I'm doing that. He said कि like I want AI to do that part क्योंकि फिर उसका मैं अपना दिमाग इसमें लगा पाऊँ to be more creative, to be more efficient at work. That
Absolutely.
works.
No, that was there. Like, even when everyone in sci-fi, we thought like, what will AI replace? Everybody thought that we'll see like walking AIs and robots and everything. But then we realized, like, while building it, that human anatomy that does physical labor has millions of years of evolution. That, we have opposable thumbs, we have like a lot of intricate movements that are not easy to replicate. but we
अच्छा
would
हाँ,
think that brains is what make us different, but brain
cool,
हमने पूरा replace कर दिया.
कूल कूल कूल। तो अच्छा, मैं यहाँ पे एक इंटरेस्टिंग सवाल आया मेरे दिमाग में। बस हम शोज करते हैं, गेस्ट बुलाते हैं, सब करते हैं। आई आई ऑलवेज आस्क दिस क्वेश्चन, एंड मैं अब यहाँ एआई के कॉन्टेक्स्ट से पूछता हूँ, व्हाट डू यू थिंक एआई डज नॉट अंडरस्टैंड अबाउट ह्यूमन, एंड व्हाट डू यू बिलीव, लाइक दिस इज द थिंग दैट एआई एआई कैन डू अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स, बट ये एक ह्यूमन, ये जो एक चीज है ना, ये बस एक इंसान ही सबसे अच्छा कर पाएगा, एआई नहीं। व्हाट डू यू थिंक इज दैट पार्ट?
Is it today or in the future? In what context? Like आज के दिन में
मतलब
आएगी?
जैसे अगर जनरली आई एम टेलिंग कि लाइक व्हाट डू यू से कि भाई ये एक चीज है जो एआई कंप्लीटली कभी खुद से करेगा भी तो भी ह्यूमंस के इतना अच्छा नहीं कर सकता। व्हाट डू यू थिंक ऑफ दैट पार्ट?
I would say like nursing would be few places. Anything that requires a lot more of, you know, like nursing is one place I would say. Like if you look at even in lists, like AIs can be doctors, AIs can be surgeons, but nursing is one part I feel like that has a lot of human element to it. It's a very there's a lot of chemical bonding and a lot of things that is happening, and also I would say nurturing as well. Like AI cannot raise your kids for you, so nanny, anything related to like when there is like a human to human contact involved. And to some extent I would say like that part I don't think AI would be able to replace, like your parental roles and your nurturing aspects. And also we might be able to form connections with AI, which I never thought was would be possible, but now I'm changing my mind on it. uh, but still that some level of human bonding and that part I think AI will never be able to do. Like if you're will it'll never be able to replace those things where we are really dependent on humans, because nursing where a lot of it is about,
फीलिंग्स एंड इमोशंस, लॉट ऑफ इट
yes,
ऑफ इमोशंस।
connecting, not just feelings and emotions but connecting with people, making sure they are there, and it's a lot of chemically bonded process as well, जो maybe we might not
मतलब
be able
वो
to replicate very
या
easily.
मतलब ये जो इंसानी मतलब जो एक ख्वाहिश होती है कि भाई एक दूसरे से मोहब्बत वाली, वो वाली ख्वाहिश, वी कैन से दैट, लाइक दैट इमोशनल सपोर्ट दैट अ ह्यूमन रिक्वायर्स फ्रॉम अनदर ह्यूमन बीइंग।
Yes, and more like nurture is where and specifically nurture, because abhi hame dikh raha hai loneliness and all of that. Maybe AI would combat it. I never thought that'll be the case, but we are seeing that. But in my opinion, AIs will be the best coders in the future. Like coding and science and technology, they will be very very good because they are very technical and analytical skills. So AIs will be very good at that. But anything that requires more like understanding human on a very different level, like nurturing level and all of that, AIs will take time to understand and replicate those behaviors. Like we might not get the same feeling that we would get with a happy nurse that is coming and giving us our medicines, helping us heal and all of that. That part I don't think AI will be able to replace anytime soon.
So I'll just here tell a very funny story here. Like I don't know whether I have to say this on camera as well now, but no, it's the show of the people. I just want like actually tell that to them. आपको ही बताता हूँ. So I came from a very small town. I come from a very small town. So recently I was there in my village. Okay, so I was working and eventually मतलब खेत था, पूरा का पूरा खेत था. So I have Wi-Fi. मतलब now I believe India has got that Wi-Fi network. कि बहुत अच्छा Wi-Fi network आ गया, बहुत remote areas पे. So I was working there. खेत था पूरा बकायदा, हम पूरी खाट लगा के खेतों में पूरा लाइक दैट डीडीएल सिनेरियो वाले की तरह वाज वर्किंग देयर। सो मतलब अब हमारे पास कुछ हमारे ताऊ लोग आए, कुछ हमारे जो भाई बंधु आपस में like, जो लोग खेती वगैरह करके आए, वाज वर्किंग। मैं काम कर रहा था, आई वाज यूजिंग एआई, मतलब कुछ टूल्स यूज कर रहा था एडिटिंग के लिए, इमेजेस एंड ऑल दैट। सो मैंने कुछ कुछ यूज केसेस दिए जहाँ पे मैंने ताऊ का इमेज किसी से रिप्लेस कर दिया, कुछ उनका ऐसे ऐसे करके बना दिया, गूगल नैनो बनाना, एवरीथिंग यूज कर करा के। एंड ही वाज लाइक यार दिस इज अ वेरी गुड थिंग यार, हमको बहुत मजा आ रहा है ये सब देखने में। बट एक बात तुम बताओ, एआई एआई करते रहते हो, क्या एआई हमको का दारू पिला सकता है क्या? दारू तो हमको खुद ही ना अपने आप से पीना होगा, बीड़ी ना हमको खुद ही पीना होगा ना। वाज लाइक यार इवन आफ्टर टेलिंग हिम ऑल द पॉसिबिलिटीज, उनका उनके लिए एआई का यूज केस क्या है? आप देखो, लाइक उन लोगों एआई का यूज केस क्या है कि एआई के हमको दारू पिला पाएगा क्या? एआई के हमको अपने आप से बीड़ी पिला पाएगा क्या?
I would say दारू तो पिला देगा अभी. I just was at I think it was Singapore if I'm not mistaken, either Singapore or Europe, one of the places I was there. I saw an AI bartender on the airport. I think it was Singapore if I'm not wrong. Yeah, it is Singapore. Abhi recently when I was coming from Token, I saw like they have an AI bartender. I would share video later on with you guys where uh, AI makes drinks for you. So they've started doing that. It comes, it serves you, and so दारू तो शायद पिला ही दे very soon.
लाइक ऑफ कोर्स मैंने उनसे फिर ये पूछा था, एक बात बताओ यार, तुमको पूरी दुनिया की चीज में यही यही एक चीज का यूज केस मिला, यूनिवर्स लाइक कि हमारे जीवन में यही एक चीज है, मतलब हमारे जीवन में यही एक यूज केस है। हम ना ही तो हम फोन चला रहे हैं, ना ही हम कुछ कर रहे हैं, हम उठ के खेती कर रहे हैं। हम कह यार खेती करो तो खेती के लिए तो इस्तेमाल कर लो कुछ, अगर आप कोई पेस्टिसाइड के बारे में पूछना है, इसके बारे में पूछना है, तुम्हारा यूज केस ही तुम ये बता रहे हो कि हमको क्या दारू पिलाएगा कि नहीं, कि हमको सिगरेट पिलाएगा कि नहीं। लाइक दिस वाज समथिंग दैट वाज वेरी फनी एंड इट वाज एंड इट्स इन माय माइंड फ्रॉम दैट कि भाई हाँ, सबके लिए एक यूज केस दूसरा हो सकता है। जस्ट दैट अगर हम लोग उनको सही सही, अगर अगर वो खेती भी करते हैं, उनको अगर सही सही एजुकेशन प्रोवाइड हो कि अगर वो जेनी कैसे यूज करते हैं या फिर कोई टूल कैसे यूज कर पाएंगे, दैट इवेंचुअली दे विल यूज दैट, उनके लिए भी ये चीज मदद होगी, उनका भी माइंडसेट चेंज होगा।
Absolutely. It's very same like उन तक phones थोड़े later पहुंचे थे and everybody eventually started using phones, internet and same चीज will happen with AI. So थोड़ा time लगेगा when we can make it more accessible for them. But I'm confident maybe 5 years, 10 years में ये हो जाएगा. With
या
Perplexity
एग्जैक्टली।
doing some great strive in India with like Airtel partnerships and all of that. So I feel that's a great initiative. उससे बहुत help होगा. And you know that's where I'm very bullish कि maybe 5 years, 10 years में they'll see more use cases other than दारू पिलाना. Hopefully.
एग्जैक्टली भाई। एंड टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट, जो लोग मेरे को नहीं जानते हैं, बिकॉज आई आल्सो केम फ्रॉम ऑल ऑफ दीस थिंग्स, मैं भी बहुत बहुत मतलब मेरे को भी ये सब चीजें नहीं आती थी, बट इवेंचुअली टेक, दैट्स व्हाई आई ऑलवेज से कि टेक्नोलॉजी इज अ थिंग दैट यू शुड लर्न दैट कैन चेंज योर लाइफ इन द बेस्ट वे पॉसिबल। मेरे को अंग्रेजी बोलना पढ़ना लिखना भी नहीं आता था अंटिल आई वाज 13 और 14। So I've also came a long way learn. So अगर हम सीख सकते हैं तो और भी लोग सीख सकते हैं, and that is also a motive behind eventually doing this show कि भाई bring out people like सूरज भाई, bring out other experts जो कि आपको वैल्यू दे पाए, जो एंड जो कि आपको ये बता पाए कि हाउ एग्जैक्टली टेक इज चेंजिंग द वर्ल्ड एंड यू शुड अडेप्ट टू इट, बिकॉज इट्स हियर टू चेंज योर वर्ल्ड इन द बेस्ट वे पॉसिबल। दैट्स इट।
No, that is insane. That is very good. Like, you know, I'm big fan. Yeah. I love that ki wo cheeze and the growth that you've done. And you know, I can understand that some people get it's easier being in privilege and situations, and sometimes it takes a lot more effort to do the same things. So, you know, I'm always like very grateful for that. So I love the initiative that you're doing and would always support any ways I can.
थैंक यू भाई। सो नाउ सूरज भाई, हम लोग क्या अब अपने एक और हमारा जो सेगमेंट होता है रैपिड फायर सेगमेंट, उस पे जाते हैं। एंड आई बिलीव ये कॉन्वर्सेशन थोड़ा सा 10 मिनट और एक्सटेंड होगा, तो शायद आपके पास थोड़ा और समय हो 10 मिनट और हम लोग को देने के लिए।
Yes,
दैट
yes,
वर्क।
yes, for sure, for sure. No, no,
So
absolutely.
now, okay, so now Suraj bhai, we have navigated through the deep, more complex topics जो भी थे, जो like that kind of spark online debates में जो सारे सवाल पूछे जाते हैं, right? Now let's shift the focus now and dive into the rapid fire round, जहाँ पे I'll just throw quick questions your way and you respond with the first answer that eventually comes to your mind. That can be a single word, single phrase, or whatever. And the key here is speed, no overthinking allowed. So, are you ready to jump into this, bike?
Sure, I'll try my best.
So, okay. So now the first rapid fire question your way is: what's the biggest red flag when you see an AI product?
Data policies. If they want
Okay.
access to all your data, that's a big red flag. You
हम्म।
don't have to share every data with AI.
सुन लो भाई, जो लोग सारा का सारा डेटा देख के थेरेपी बनाए रखे हो ना, देख लो, सुन लो। ये
No, I
ध्यान।
mean, some AIs ask you to share entire computer access and things like that. Please don't do it. Like, if they're asking for your entire computer access, it's the biggest red flag. No good AI company will do that.
Go. Understood. Take notes, Janta. Take notes. Suraj bhai, autonomy or safety? If you had to pick one for AI today, which comes first?
Safety. Any day, safety.
Cool.
This is very novel technology. We don't know what it can do. So it's very scary.
So, like now, moving on. One myth about AI in the workplace you wish people would stop believing.
One myth. Sorry,
Hmm.
one
One myth about AI that people have in the workplace today that you wish they should stop believing it.
that AI will replace humans.
Hmm.
AI can
Interesting.
never replace humans. मेरे हिसाब से AI can only empower humans. It can never replace humans.
Okay. So now, would you trust an AI with your crypto wallet? Yes or no? If you have one.
Yes, yes, I would, but in a controlled environment. Not with my entire portfolio, but yeah, small wallets, small things, yes. But with my complete portfolio, no.
Okay. So now, if EXO could remove one daily frustration from every team on Earth, what would it be?
Uh, Stand-ups, like just tracking where your project is. So, you know, that is like a biggest thing. Like, you know, sometimes you have no idea what's the status of your project. As
Understood.
founders, I struggle and I want 1 second update that where is my project, where is it blocked, what needs to be done.
सो प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजर्स का क्या होगा?
I mean, it'll just help them. Like उनका काम थोड़ा और easy हो जाएगा and they can work on the human aspect because project managers बहुत सारा human connection aspect पे भी काम करते हैं. It's not just about update लेना. तो you know but yeah, 1 second updates is what I would love to solve.
Okay, cool. So, like, what's the first thing you look when evaluating whether an AI system is actually reliable?
Since we do a lot of coding AI, so I'll answer in that context. So there, a very simple way that we try to do is like if we give it one task 10 times, how well it's able to perform 10 times. Out of 10 times, is it able to do it like 9 times, 8 times? That's like a very high level, simple way of evaluating it. But obviously, if you want to do a complex evaluation, that's a very complex topic. वो एक पूरा podcast ही हो जाएगा उस पे. So I don't want to get into that. But simple way to do that, give it the same task 10 times and see.
अगली बार करेंगे फिर इसी वाले टॉपिक पे, नो इश्यूज ऑन दैट. अगर आप लोग चाहोगे जनता, सो वी कैन इवेंचुअली गेट सूरज भाई ऑन द शो इन अ सीरीज. अगर एआई के बारे में इफ यू वांट एनी सीरीज, वी कैन हैव अ पर्टिकुलर 3 to 4 एपिसोड का सीरीज विद हिम एंड सो एक्सक्लूसिवली फॉर जनता टेक टॉक बाय जनता. सो आई पुट आउट अ पोल एंड अगर पब्लिक की डिमांड आए तो भाई जरूर आई विल गेट यू बैक इन अ सीरीज फॉर द शो. इट वर्क्स.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now in one word, describe the future of human AI collaboration.
Exo workspaces.
प्रमोशन कर दिया बीच में.
I mean, one word तो और क्या ही होगा.
But nice, like, yeah, you guys are building a very exciting thing, and I believe that inshallah it is the future of the show. And
Absolutely.
so now in one line, what does tech for all mean to you personally?
One line, tech for all is like uh, not something that you have to learn, but something that learns you. Like, so far, tech has always been like something that, you have to learn that how do I use this tool? How do I do this? Instead, now we're heading into future that software learns you and be like, this is how it's supposed to use. Example, Chat GPT, I would say, perfect example for that.
Understood. Cool. So now the last and final question: describe Ali Mastan in one word.
One word, inspirational. Like,
Yeah,
huge
brother.
fan. Inspirational. No, absolutely, bro. What you're doing is very inspirational. Like, that is a very important topic. And I feel like us in India are not doing enough to get where Indians can be. I feel like Indians are really ahead in tech, but India is not where it should have been. It can be way better than where we are today. And things like this is what we need. Like, we need our local power. We need everyone everywhere in India to just, work more and achieve this thing. So,
Cool. Thank you, and I believe nice. That was fun. Honestly, the rapid fire question often reveals more about a guest than extended responses. So now let's wrap this up, like this segment. And Abhi, now I'm just opening the audience question all apart. So we have two audience के जो हमारे सवाल हैं. सबसे पहला सवाल is from Krish Bhimani, and the question Suraj bhai is: do you expect enterprise to shift more toward open source LLMs as privacy requirements get stricter?
uh, maybe some will, but not all will. Like, I see instead what's going to happen is like, which is already happening, where, all of these big enterprises, large corporations will have deals with large AI providers like ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity to keep their data. And, that's where it will be. But medium businesses will move to a lot more open source models. Like small and medium businesses where open source model is going to be picking up huge is where I see.
Okay, cool, understood. So now, Suraj bhai, the final question of the show, and eventually I want to thank all the जनता for being on the show. And ये हमारा final है सवाल जो कि अभी मैंने अपने like जो भी हम लोग ने conversation किया उसके थ्रू आया है. And बस आपको थोड़ा सा 2-3 मिनट और then we can eventually wrap up the show.
Absolutely.
सूरज भाई, yes, I have a मतलब अगर मैं आपको बोलूँ, so like let's assume if everything you are building at EXO plays out the way you imagine, जहाँ पे agentic systems are reliable, contextual है हमारा, memory driven है, seamlessly integrated into the workplace. Okay, so then how will the average work day look like a decade from now अगर ये वाली सारी चीजें हो जाती हैं तो? And I am not looking for a science-wise scenario, but a realistic one. So, like, how will people think, work, collaborate, and make decisions in an environment where the tools are intelligent and the system move on from simply following instructions to truly anticipating their needs? कहाँ मतलब किस तरीके से आप इसका जवाब दोगे?
See, the future that I see is, like I said, tech for all say very similar है वो, where up tak past में what we've saw is like anytime you have to start working or something, you have to learn a particular tool, right? But the future that is going with ChatGPT and everyone is ChatGPT is trying to learn you and your habits and your behaviors. So that's where with the generative AI it helps. So Vercel is doing a lot of work there. So the future I see is like it's going to be a mix of Kanban board and all of those collaborative tools, but it's going to be very personalized. So, my dashboard and your dashboard might be completely different because, you might see information the way you like to see it. You might like graphs, you might like charts, you might like something else, you'll see it. I might just like text, voice notes, so it'll do it. So I feel like future is going to be very personalized, where software is going to be different. Like every person's software is going to be different for each other. So that way collaboration is going to be easier because you don't have to spend time learning tools or technology or anything. You'll just be talking in natural language and you'll see what you really want to see. So that's where I see like it's going to be very personal and custom. And depending on your role, your abilities, and your style, you're going to see a custom software
Understood.
that will be generated in lifetime.
Understood. And I believe that's a very strong perspective that you have put forward. Like it offers the audience on a practical mental model. Like मतलब एक पूरे तरीके से प्रैक्टिकल उनको आपने जवाब दिया है rather than those science by scenarios. So yeah, with that we come to an end of this Janta Tech Talks season 2 chapter 2, and like eventually thank you for joining Suraj bhai for the show, and like a huge shout out to you for sharing your wisdom, journey, and honest perspective on what it takes to build in a new age tech space. And as we conclude, remember this is just the beginning, and through Janta Tech Talks, our mission is to empower people with technology by amplifying the voices and stories, and that they're shaping the next waves of this new age technological evolution. And stay updated on the upcoming episodes, Janta, like behind the scene moments, new collaborations by following Janta Wars across our social media channels. And you can also follow me, of course, Alion Mastan on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and we are just dropping the links there in the comment section. You can just move on, follow us, and be updated. Yeah, thank you once again for being part of this episode, for showing up for the meaningful conversation. And this is your host Ali Mastan signing off. And yeah, really thank you, Suraj bhai, for eventually
Thank you.
coming out
Thank
here
you.
for our Janta and providing us the value.
Oh, thank you so much for having me over. So it's a great
Yeah,
conversation. Like I said, great initiative. Anywhere that we can help educating the youth and the Gen Zs on better uses of AI, I would be love like I would love
and
to be involved.
really,
So
really.
love
And
the
by
initiative. Great work,
I'll
man.
just I'll just put out a post and poll after this, जहाँ पे है लास्ट में जनता की भाई अगर आप चाहते हो सूरज भाई के साथ if you want to have more conversation around AI human workplace then I'll definitely start a series on that. And हमारी जनता के comments भी आ रहे हैं कि like really intuitive and informative discussion, love the talk. So बहुत सारे इस तरीके से comment आ रहे हैं and yeah, so डेफिनेटली गाइस अपडेटेड रहिए. मैं अपने व्हाट्सएप कम्युनिटी का लिंक भी डाल दूंगा, टेलीग्राम कम्युनिटी का लिंक भी डाल दूंगा, वेयर वी इवेंचुअली हैव पोल्स अराउंड कि हु दे वांट टू बी एज अ स्पीकर. सो शो आप आओ खुद आके बोलो किसको चाहते हो एज अ स्पीकर. आई डेफिनेटली रीच आउट टू हिम एंड हर, एंड उसको अपन शो पे बुलाएंगे. बस ऑल ऑफ दिस इज फॉर यू बाय यू. दैट्स इट. थैंक यू.
Thank you.
इंशाल्लाह गाइस नेक्स्ट वीक.